It's a June 5th, 2024. Beautiful city and the capital city of Ireland, Dublin. My name is Jong-woo Han. I am the president of Korean War Legacy Foundation, which has about 1,600 Korean War veterans interviewed from all 22 countries that participated in the Korean War, including United States and United Kingdom and Commonwealth of the United Kingdom, which is Australia, New Zealand, Canada. Yes. We are doing this, first of all, to preserve your memory because it's been already more than 70 years. Yeah, it's going to be 75th year next year to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the breakout of the Korean War. And so we want to preserve your memory and your honorable service as Korean War veteran from the United Kingdom. At the same time, we want to make this interview into curricular resources so that history teachers and social studies teachers in every country can use your interview when they talk about and teach about the Korean War. Because in our textbook, Korean War is very little. It's known as forgotten war. I want to challenge that reality, and so that your interview is very important, okay? And thank you for receiving me in your beautiful home with your lovely wife, Elizabeth, who's been talking to me about this interview. So I want to thank you again, and I want to thank you, first of all, to fight for the Korean nation. I want to thank you on behalf of Korean nation. There is no Korea without your honorable service as a UK Korean War veteran. It's a great honor and pleasure to meet you. Please introduce yourself. What is your name? Could you spell it?
My name is Walter Leslie Coote. It is W-A-L-L-T-E-R.
No.
I've got me...
W-A-L.
W-A-L-T-E-R.
Leslie.
Leslie. Lima. L-E-S-L-I-E.
Coote.
And the last name?
Coote.
Coote. C-O-O-T-E.
E. Yes. So, thank you for your help, Elizabeth.
I'm very sorry to offend that.
Your full name is Walter L. Coote. W-A-L-T-E-R. Middle name Leslie L. And the last name is C-O-O-T-E, Coote. What is your birthday, sir?
My birthday is 17th of the 2nd, 1933.
What do you mean? Second, so...
February, yeah.
February 17th.
17th of February,
1933.
1933. You born in 1933 means how old are you now?
I am 91 years old.
90, wow. 91-year old. I don't see any wrinkle in your face.
No.
What is your secret to be so looking young?
I'm not sure, you know, I've worked all my life, you know, but, you know, what actually is, I don't know, you know.
That's very good. You look very healthy.
Thank you, yeah.
So tell me about your birthplace. Where were you born?
I was born in the county of Essex.
Essex. And what about your family background? Your parents and your siblings?
I have a big family. I have a mother and father, and there was 7 girls and 6 boys.
What?
Mum and Dad was kind of, you know, made 15.
Wow. 13 children.
Yep.
And what did your father do?
My father worked in a fertilizer. He was it was a one of these big fertilizing places that made the fertilizer for the crops and that.
Were you the eldest boy or what?
No, I'm the oldest boy in the family, but I have a sister, Violet. She would be 93.
So you were the second.
Yeah, I was the oldest boy, you know.
How was it like growing up in 13 children?
I tell you, it was a really hard time at that, you know, it was really hard in them days, you know. Everybody was poor. You
know. What school did you go through there?
I went to the ordinary school, you know. I was in actually when the first school was in when I was about 4 or 5. I went to one school. Then when I got to I think maybe 12 or 13, I was sent to another school with just for senior boys and that.
What do you remember the name of school?
Yes, I was in the Westbury. The one I was in at first when I was a young boy was the Westbury school.
West what?
Westbury. I'm sorry, because you know.
W.
West, yeah. West, W-E-S-T. The Westbury School. And the other one was Gascoigne School.
Okay. And when did you graduate your high school?
I never actually went because I left school when I was 14. And it was the last time that they, you know, boys and girls was kind of, you know, finished their school. That was put on. It went on for another 2 or 3 years. They had to stay in school. But I went out when I was 14 years old.
And what did you do after that?
Well, I tell you, sir, I first started in a firm, and they were making kind of plastic things for cars. And that, you know. And then I was there for a while, and that place closed down, and I was made redundant. And then I went to another school. I went to another job, and there I was just a cleaner. I used to clean all the toilets and everything, and that, you know. And then I was there, I don't know, maybe for 6 months or more. Then I went to the self-opening tin box company. I worked there for 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years. And let me ask this question. In your school, when you were in school, when you were students, did you learn anything about Korea?
No, sir. No.
Nothing?
I didn't even know Korea. Even when I was in Germany at the time, and we went. I'm sorry, I'm going off. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Yes.
When we was in Germany. The battalion was in Germany, and we was sent back to England.
And so you didn't know anything about
No, I didn't.
Korea?
I never even heard of Korea.
What about China or Japan?
Well, I'll tell you the truth, sir. When I left school practically illiterate. I couldn't read, I couldn't write, I couldn't spell. And it was only in latter years that I learned these things.
All right. So you really didn't know anything about Korea?
No.
All right. And you never imagined that you would become Korean War veteran at the time?
No.
So what do you think about that? You never imagined to be Korean War veteran.
No.
Now you are one of the many UK Korean War veterans. And have you been back to Korea?
We went back to Korea in 2016, and it was for about 8 or 9 days.
And
And there we went all round. They took us to all different areas, you know, where different. They were celebrating because we had, you know, the other night, you know, English, what's name, you know, Australia, Canada, and that was kind of one group, and they was all on the buses. You know, we had buses there, something like, I think it was maybe about 400 of us there all together. And we went to the Australian cemetery, and then we went to the Canadian cemetery, and they took us to army camps and all kinds of different places we went to. Of an evening we went to, you know, they took us out to dinner and everything and that, you know. Yeah.
And when you revisited Korea in 2016, what did you think about Korea? Tell me, detail, because...
I tell you, sir, I was amazed. Because when I was there, it was all paddy fields, and Seoul was the capital, you know, Seoul was there. But all the rest of it, it was just open country. And I've never seen so many hills, you know, there was mountains and valleys and everything, you know. But when we got back, I went, oh no, there was skyscrapers and brilliant great highways, you know, I mean, and Korea done more than, you know, they really done themselves good, you know.
So you landed in Incheon, right?
Yeah, we landed in Incheon there, and we was greeted when the boat came into the harbour. There was an American band was playing music.
You're talking about in 1952, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Tell me about it. When you landed in Incheon in 1952,
I'm sorry, sir.
There was American band, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about it. How do they do?
Well, they was playing all the different musics and that, you know, and then they just took us off the boat, you know, and then the old battalion came, and then we went up country.
How was the Incheon at the time when you arrived in 1952?
There wasn't a great deal, you know. We didn't really see a hell of a lot there. There was a few buildings and that there. There was a great big, you know, building on the quay and that.
So there was not much vertically standing there?
No.
How about when you landed in Incheon Airport in 2016? How was it in Incheon?
No.
Where did you arrive in Korea? 2016?
We went in 2016, and then we arrived in Incheon.
Yeah.
On Incheon, and there they took us on the buses.
Yep.
So we went to one of the big hotels there, but what one it was, I wouldn't have a clue.
So how was Incheon look like when you see 2016 compared to 1952?
The only way I knew Incheon was I was taken, after a period of time in the line, they gave us 3 days. And the place we went to was Incheon there, because there was a lovely beach there and houses all on the front, and there was a big army camp there, you know, where they fed us and everything. We could sleep when we liked and eat when we liked and everything. Mm-hmm. But then I say, when we went back to 2016,
yes,
I mean, as I said, it was just out of this world. You know, it was great big highways and scrapers and all different shops, and you know, it was, you know, because, you know, I thought myself, how they, you know, I mean, but mind you, it was. I'm not sure. I think it was 60 or 70 years, you know, that I hadn't been there. Mm-hmm. You know, I hadn't seen Korea because we didn't know that we could go back to Korea.
Exactly. That's why the Korean government re-invited you so that you can see what's been changed after
yeah.
you left,
Oh, yeah.
right? So how did you like it?
It was absolutely fantastic, you know. It was really, really lovely.
Did you ever imagine that Korea would become like this when you left Korea in 1953 or 54?
No, I thought, because once I left Korea, kind of thing, because how I ever got out of Korea, I don't know.
But did you imagine that Korea would become like this today? No,
No,
right?
no.
Why not?
I don't know, because it didn't, I thought, so how would they do, how would they ever do that? Because,
Everything devastated,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. Were you in Seoul when you landed? From Incheon, did you go to Seoul?
Yeah,
And what did you see in Seoul at the time?
because the Seoul, we went to the Seoul Hotel there, and I say they took us out there. It's lovely, it's all roadways, and it's all lovely flowers and trees. You've never seen, such beauty, and the people were they were fantastic. They come up and shake your hand and thank you for saving our country. I was overwhelmed.
But isn't it natural for them to say thank you because you fought for Korean people? Isn't that natural?
It's natural, yeah.
But anyway, so what about Seoul that you saw in 1952?
Well,
How was it? So at the time when you were in Korea for the fighting?
see, that part is a little story to that, because I got wounded in Korea,
Oh,
and I went to different match places to be, to be sewed up and that, And the only reason we went to Seoul is when they put me in the English hospital. I was in the Canadian hospital, not a Canadian, Norwegian hospital. And it was an Italian place. At first, say the Italian place, when I got wounded, they brought me off the hill on a stretcher jeep, and then they dropped us in this Italian place. But they never. It's all they done was give me something to eat, and then I was sent on to the Norwegian place where they operated on me, and that. It was one of the mess places.
Yes.
A great big tent, and we had just brought in there and just brought in there, and then I woke up. I was in one of the wards there somewhere, in the tent there,
So you were in Norway hospital,
Yeah.
which was in Seoul.
Yeah.
And how was?
No, the Norwegian place was out in was the one of the. If you ever know, there was different match places.
Yep.
And this one was literally out in the open somewhere. Where
Okay.
actually it was, I'm not sure.
But later you went to Seoul.
Yeah, but see, then when I got wounded, and I got they sent me when I got well, they sent me back to the battalion, and then they put me in HQ for a while because they said I wasn't fit to go back into the line. So there, I used to take the company's laundry to Seoul. There was a laundry place in Seoul.
Yeah.
And there, we put all the stuff there, and then we'd walk all around, and it was.
And you went to Seoul. How was Seoul at the time?
At that time, it was pretty rough kind of places and that.
Tell me the detail.
It was just a kind of a shambles kind of place.
What about people?
There was all people going around and all that.
How did they look at the time?
They looked, they would look poor and that, How they survived, I don't know,
So you were feeling sorry for them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But now you know Korean people, 2016.
Yeah.
Can you compare them?
Oh, gee, you
Compare it.
I mean, you see them. They're all kind of what you call civilized. You know, with all the different gear and shops, and all going round in all kinds of gear. You know, really lovely. You know.
Isn't that amazing?
Geez, I mean, the shops was kind of the shops that we got here was in Korea. You know.
Yeah. So that's why we are doing this, because Korean War is still known as forgotten war. But it's a beautiful thing came out of your service, right?
Yeah.
Do you know the Korean economy rank in the world?
I mean, they're about 2 or 3.
That's a little bit too
Oh
much.
no, they must, because at the time, Korea had to be, everything was going into Korea, by the Americans and whatever, and that, and then, I'm getting lost here,
But Korean economy now is number 10 in the world.
Yeah.
I mean,
Can you believe that?
Because, they're into cars, I think they're into everything.
Yes.
There's not hardly anything they're not into.
I mean, that is the legacy of the Korean War that
Yeah.
you fought for
Yeah.
75 years ago.
Yeah.
But we don't teach about it.
No.
We don't talk about it. Korean War is still forgotten war. And in the world history textbook, there is only one paragraph about it. Why is that?
Because England didn't recognize. They sent us troops to Korea, but we're not even recognized in England.
Right, as a UN.
We forgot. It was a forgotten war.
Yeah. So that's why we are doing this, okay? And your interview, your direct witness, you sharing with me today is going to be used in the classroom so that they know Korea you saw in 1952 and they can hear from you about the Korea you saw in 2016. Isn't that lovely?
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing though what you had done in that period of time.
Exactly, in a very short period of time, right?
Yeah.
So, as Elizabeth mentioned, let's go back to your childhood, okay? After you are done with your school at age of 14, you went to work, right?
I went
But you decide to join the army. Why?
Well, by that time I was 17. I was around 17.
17.
And I was 17 years old on different jobs and that. And now I'm getting lost in a minute here.
Take your time. It's okay. It's okay. Take your time.
You were looking for.
See, my friend, some of my friends was in the army, and they said, "Wally, there's no work around. Come into the army, So I joined. I joined just before I would have been called up for 18 months. They had the national service, and they was calling all the young men into the army, and we went to right down the country, there to be trained and that.
Right.
But see, then what happened? See, when I went down. See, my names are coming.
It's okay.
Sure.
So why?
It was Shorncliffe.
Shorncliffe.
It was a big camp. There was anything up to say 4,000 or 5,000 men on this campus. But I was only there for a week, and they realized that I was illiterate, and they sent me to Norwich, which I went there for 6 weeks for education course. Then when I done the 6 weeks, I was sent back to the battalion. I was sent back to Shorncliffe.
Shorncliffe.
Yeah.
And so but why did you want to join the army? Because of your friend?
Because
of your friend?
Yeah, my friends, my friends said, "Wally, what you doing? You know, I mean, wages at that time, it was pittance. I mean, the first actual job I started, I was getting £1.25 was my wages for, you know, for a week, for working Monday to Friday, you know.
So you wanted to get more money.
Yeah.
How much actually the army paid at the time?
When my wages at that time, because I signed on for 12 years.
Yeah.
5 years with the colours, because I served 5 years with the battalion, and 7 years on reserve. So, see, I'm kind of going along.
Much better pay?
I got £2 50 cents, which half of that I sent to my mother. Half of any money I earned, my mother got half of what I earned in the army.
That's very nice, right?
Because I mean, even Korea, my money was £4.
Yes.
50.
£4.50.
50, yeah.
Poverty.
Yeah.
That's a week or a month?
That's for a week.
Week.
Yeah.
So when you were in Korea, you were paid £4.50 per week as a Korean War veteran.
Yeah, and my mother got £2.10. You know, my mother got £2 or that. You know, she got half of that wage when I was all the time I was in Korea. She got half of my money. I couldn't spend it anyway.
Exactly, right? Okay, so tell me about your unit. You are Royal Fusilier, right?
It's the first battalion of the Royal Fusiliers, City of London Regiment.
Royal Fusilier.
Yeah.
Can you explain about the Royal Fusilier?
Royal Fusiliers. Our depot was the Tower of London. That was our depot, the Tower of London.
Yeah. But tell me about Fusilier in history. What kind of, it was an infantry division, right?
Well,
tell me about
the Royal Fusiliers has been a regiment for, you're talking 30, 40, maybe 100 years, because there's places where they fought in Afghanistan back in 1800 and early in the 1900s and that, you know.
And World War I, World War II, right?
Yeah, I mean, the World War II, there was anything up to 12 battalions, you know, which is about 11, you know, 12,000 men.
How proud are you to be the Royal Fusilier?
I was very good, you know. Royal Fusiliers, yeah. It was very nice, you know.
Very nice.
Because.
And so you joined the
Royal
Fusiliers.
Royal Fusiliers.
When was it? Before the Korean War breakout? After the Korean War?
No.
Before the Korean War?
Before, because I mean, that is when I actually joined the army, you know, and they sent me to they sent us to Sean Cliff to be trained.
Yes.
Yeah, see, yeah.
And then you became you joined the Fusilier.
They sent us to Germany when, you know, that was our first kind of overseas posting. We went out to see the battalion was already in Germany, and we was just extra recruits going out there.
So where were you in Germany?
Iserlohn.
Iserlohn.
Yeah.
Ah, what did you do there?
There, we just trained all the time, and
that was 1950, right?
yeah, and then we was in, because we was the we was in the cross keys division, which then because all the countries there was all in one great big, you know. We used to do what they called the Ryan Army manoeuvres, and there could be 200,000, 300,000 men going in all directions, all over the place, you know.
All over the place.
Yeah.
And what was your specialty? Are you rifleman?
I'm a rifleman.
And when did you learn that Korean War broke out? When?
Well,
Where?
We was actually in Germany, and it came up. The battalion is moving to Korea. So when we got that, a couple of months later, we just pulled out of there, and we went down to. It was we had to go for a month out in the wild. It was with the Norwich. It was right out in the wilds, and we had to look after ourselves and that, and rough it and all this kind of thing, making us ready for Korea.
Mm-hmm. So when you learned that you are going to go to Korean War, were you afraid?
No.
You're not afraid?
I suppose you are afraid to a certain extent, but you don't think. You don't think about it. Well, I don't think about it. What will be will be.
So did you tell your mother that you're going to go to war? Did you?
No. Well, they did.
Did you tell your mother?
'Cause
did you
when-
write the letter?
Yeah, my writing wasn't very good in them days.
But anyway, what did your mother's reaction that you are going to go to Korean
Well,
War?
she had too much on her plate to worry about me, and she knew. I mean, as I say, from 10 years old, I looked anything. I went out to anything I could earn, anything where I could earn money to give to my mother,
So, tell me about it. When did you leave from where in the United Kingdom to Korea? When and where?
We was in Shorncliffe. We was in We was in the big barracks there.
Hold on.
The,
Walter, could you spell Sean Clip?
sure,
S-
it's SHOONOREN, and it's Shorncliffe, CLIFF.
S-H
O
O
O
yeah
OR.
R
E
E
C L I F.
Shore Clip.
Shorncliffe, yeah.
Shore Clip.
There was a great big camp. There was a great big camp there.
And you left from Shore Cliff
Yeah.
to Korea,
We went down to Liverpool.
Liverpool.
The boat was, at Liverpool.
Yeah. Do you remember when? Do you remember when?
I'm not sure of the time because it took us 6 weeks from Liverpool to get to Korea.
To Korea.
Oh, I'm forgetting a part.
Yeah.
Just before we left the camp, they was giving us injections.
Yeah.
We had to have all kinds of injections.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, when they were we was on parade the day before, and I collapsed
Why?
because I got an infection.
Side effects.
I got an infection with one of the needles, and when the battalion was pulling out, I was on a stretcher,
Oh.
put on the train, and when we got down to Liverpool, I was taken on the boat on a stretcher, and then put into the sick bay.
And so, what ship did you take?
Oh, she was the Empire Fowey.
What?
FFO is a Fow. I can't, even now today, my spelling's not so good. She was an ex-German troop ship.
Okay. And so, do you remember when was it? 1952 you left?
We left there, and the actual date there, it took us 6 weeks. So I'm not sure, but we got to Korea, and it was around either end of July or into August. I'm not sure on that part of the time.
And where did you arrive in Korea?
We arrived in you know, at the main port.
Incheon?
You know,
Incheon.
no, it was so good. It was
Busan?
Busan.
Oh.
Busan, yeah.
And then from Busan, where did you
We
go?
went, as I say, we went up country.
Oh.
It took us, I don't know, I'm not sure on that part whether I went on a train or whether I had to march up there.
Okay.
That part I can't remember.
So you actually arrived in Busan, not in Incheon.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And
I'm sorry, yeah.
Elizabeth was right.
Yeah.
And
And Busan was where you landed, and then you were sent up country,
yep.
and then you were sent to be in the front line.
See, because
Yep.
when, you know, for about couple of weeks, we was kind of doing all kinds of exercises and weapon training and testing the weapons and all this out. And then after that they sent, I was in B Company 4 Platoon.
B Company?
B Company 4 Platoon.
4 platoon.
Yeah, and they sent us onto this, what they said was a quiet area, and it was very quiet there, you know. But we used to go down through the minefield into the valley, you know, of a night time doing patrols and that, you know, and that is actually where I got wounded.
Tell me about it. How did you get wounded?
Well,
when was it?
It was, would you believe, I know the date, it was 16th of September. And we've been in the line, I reckon maybe 2 or 3 weeks, or a good 2 or 3 weeks we was there.
1952.
Yeah, I think, you know, and there, I'm gonna come give me, sorry.
No, go ahead. Tell me about how you get wounded.
No, I was just gonna say, no, sorry. See, when during the night we done night patrols, and then we during the day we slept in the bunkers during the day, and then round could be say 1, 2 o'clock, as it was a quiet place, they sent a wagon up with food, and I had to take the tins down to collect me food. Right. Well, I remember coming out, I was going down the hill, and all of a sudden there was just a great big bang, and it just picked me up and slung me down the hill, and I lay there, and from I don't know maybe about 4 or 5 minutes, and I'm shouting out for my mate. I'm shouting out, Tony, I'm it. And he says, if you think I'm coming out there to pick you up, you got another thing coming.
Yeah. So what was it? Was it mining or was
it was a shell. It was a shell, yeah.
Shell. Who was it? North Koreans or Chinese?
Well, we had North Koreans and Chinese in front of us. Together, yeah.
Do you know where you were?
So where we was, I can't know the name of the position, but along in front of us, there was what's the name of the famous position?
Take your time. It's okay.
See what I mean? 355 was the main hill, but connecting.
355.
Yeah, 355. But connecting into that was the Chinese positions. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John was 4 hills actually joined into 355. So we used to. That was the main position, and that there.
Matthew, Mark, Luke
and
John. That was the name of
the race.
Okay, so you were at the hill 355, which was adjacent to hills Mark, Matthew, John, and Luke.
Yeah.
That's where you were.
Yeah.
In 1950.
Yeah.
And the day that you were wounded was September 16th.
Yeah.
Where were you wounded?
across the ear,
Oh, so
across the
you're
ear, and here under my shoulder.
how was it?
Oh, I'll tell you.
Was it really you were really at the risk of losing your life?
No,
or-
no, it was. You might have to say what they call it. It was just a matter of time for them to, because they just sew you up, and that, you know. Yeah.
And your thigh.
So you went to first Italy, the MASH unit of Italy,
it
and
was,
then you went to Norwegian MASH,
Mash, yeah,
and then you got the operation.
yeah. I done the operation, you know, the Norwegian mash place, and they kept me there. I don't know how long I was there. You know, maybe a couple of weeks.
Uh-huh.
And then they sent me on to the British hospital in Seoul.
Oh, so you were in the British hospital in Seoul. Yes, and do you remember any nurse or doctor's name in Norwegian MASH?
No. They, you know, they kind of,
How was them?
I can remember they took me off, you know, you know, on the stretcher into and put me on the table, you know, and there was, I don't know, it could have been 3 or 4 doctors and that around and that, you know, and then they kind of give me an injection. Then after that, I didn't, you know, I ended up in one of the tents, and the tent was full of wounded, you know, because you know, when I came from the Indian match was in place, I was on the ambulance, and on the ambulance was an Aussie. He was wounded. He shot himself in the leg. You know, he was cleaning his gun, and he shot himself in the leg.
Oh.
And he said, and you know, he said, "Hey, Pommy," he says, "Do you want a cigarette?" I said, "Oh, please." I said, "I haven't," you know. I said, I had stuff, I said, in my bunker, but I never had time to pick it up or nothing. But he said, "Don't worry," and he slung me a tin, you know, a tin of 50, through a tin of 50 cigarettes down to me, and matches, you know. And I remember it because then he was we was in the same place together, you know. We used to chat, and he gave me his address, you know, and I gave him my address. And I mean, you know, when I was back in the line, I had all different things in this box. It was in an ammunition box. And when we had to move from one position to another, I left that box in that trench. So whether that ever got found, I don't know.
So, were you thinking that you're going to lose your leg, or were you afraid when you were wounded and went
I was
to the
very
hospital?
sore and that, you know, but I never really worry,
Oh,
you know.
very good. Yes.
Your 2 friends.
Yeah. No, because when because you move from one position. That line, I think, was something like about 50 or 60 miles across Korea. Mm-hmm. And you know, you had all those positions with Americans, Canadians, Australians, Turks, you know, all different nationalities, all on them different positions. And you kind of move from one part to the other. But that, where I told you about 355 and them, and the only other one I can remember was the Hook. And that was a deadly place.
Yeah.
Because
Hook.
The
Hook.
Yep.
Because the Chinese was literally not even 100 yards away. And you didn't fucking, you know, you kept down. Mm-hmm. We had the trenches here 7 or 8 foot deep. So, you know.
So you actually encountered Chinese in the hill
In the
camp. Area Hook, right?
The Hook, yeah.
How was it? Were you afraid of Chinese at the time?
But not really, you know. I mean,
Tell me about the Chinese soldiers.
we never actually,
No.
you know, we see them in the, you know, because we used to put down on the position, in front of the position, we used to have a little OP there, and we'd watch any movement from the, you know, either Chinese or North Koreans when they were moving about. And then that night, we would send out a fighting patrol or an ambush patrol, you know, and trying to take a prisoner. But I mean, they used to ambush us any time they liked. It's very, very rare that we caught them. Yeah. No, no. We was on this particular position, and they were taking patrols, you know, different patrols was going out. And this particular night, our platoon officer and Mr. Harmon and my two friends, Cooper and Toll, they went out with the officer. Well, the Chinese had come up got actually into the minefield. So when they were going out, they was ambushed, and the officer he survived, but my two mates kind of jumped into the minefield.
And they died?
They died, yeah.
Oh, I'm
and
so
they are in Busan Cemetery.
Oh.
And,
What's his name again?
Cooper and Toll.
and Toll.
Tully, yeah, Tully, yeah,
T-U-L.
yeah.
T-U-L.
It was Brian.
Cooper and Toll.
Cooper and Toll, they
Yeah.
were
They were it was
killed by the mines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then they are now buried in Busan,
Busan,
UN
yeah.
Cemetery.
Yeah.
And that's in 2016. That's when we went back. We had an experience. Which,
See, we went
which
when
I
we
can tell you about.
so when 2016, we went. You know, towards the end of the visit, we went down to Busan, into the cemeteries, and it was the Australian one, the Canadian one, the British one, and that, you know, we done a ceremony on each occasion, and then the last one we was at was the actually English plot, you know, and we stood there, and it was just one mass of graves.
Yes, I know.
And every single grave, there was a flower
Yes.
on that grave. And then, so then, you know, we was kind of we were talking together, and so Liz said to me, look, you walk there and I'll walk there. Well, I walked on the inner side so we could watch both sides, and she walked on the back row, and all of a sudden she said, Wally, quick, look. And there they were, side by side.
Oh.
You know, and it was...
Cooper and Tully was side by side there.
Yeah, side by side.
When you see them there, what did you feel?
I was, you know, we both all, the wife cried, I nearly cried, you know.
So the wives of their...
No, my wife.
Your wife?
Yeah.
Were there any family of Tully?
No. See, there was a captain in the airborne. He said to us, "Are you okay?" And we kind of told him. He said, "You know what?" He says, "You didn't find them. They've been here waiting for you, waiting for you to come. You know."
Oh, that's a very wise thing to say, right? They were waiting to see you there.
Yeah.
Yes. Finally, you saw them.
Yeah.
You should be very thankful about your wounded, right? And you were in the hospital, and I think they were killed by the mines after you were hospitalized, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes getting wounded is serious.
Yeah, but see,
But you saved actually your life.
Yeah. because that particular, you know, there was they kept ambushing our patrols down that particular gap. But what they, you know, and then they just said no. They closed the gap and filled, you know, and we had to. They moved it somewhere else.
Too many men being killed.
You know, too many men being killed.
You could have been there.
Yeah.
You could
See,
have been there.
I could have been out the next night.
No, he wasn't in hospital at the
No,
time.
I know.
He was in
But I could.
Oh, he was in the trench.
Yeah, I was in the front line. Yeah.
He could have been told next. You're next.
Because,
You're next.
because four of the fellas were supposed to, you know, they wanted more men to go down this gap, and they refused to go. You know, they refused to go. No, we don't mind if we got a chance, but there we haven't got a chance in hell of getting through that gap. We're all, you know.
The mine.
So they,
So, Walter, did you know why you were there and fighting for what?
well, we know we was fighting for a country.
For a country that you didn't know nothing about.
I know, it's silly. But, you
It's
know,
silly,
I mean,
isn't
as
it?
a soldier, you do as you're told.
Right.
You know, where they send you, you go.
But because you fought for that country you didn't know, now Korea is...
Gee, way up, way up.
How do you like that?
That's very, very good.
Right?
I mean,
Deserved. After all, they went through.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna. See what else, you know?
Huh? Tell me. Tell me. What do you want to say?
See, when we was actually in the line and we were pulled out, you know, you'd be there 4 or 5, maybe 6 weeks on a position. I mean, we were just like rats in a hole. We were freaking filthy, you know. We got hardly any water, you know, we got very little water and that, you know. So when we came out of the line, we used to go swimming. Into the, you know, in the Imjin River.
You were around the Imjin River.
Yeah. That's when we was out of the line, you know. Well, see, my mate said to me, Wally, let's go. He said, come and we'll swim over. I said, look, I'm not a good swimmer. But I said, okay. I went with him. And you know the Imjin, what kind of the width of that, something maybe 200 yards or more. Well, I swam kind of, say, about 3/4 of the way across. And then all of a sudden I thought to myself, when I came in the other side, I walked a good 20, 30 paces. I reckon I'm near the shore. And down I went. And just, I just went down and I came back up again. And I grabbed my mate. And, you know, and I remember he hit me, and I can remember I sank. I was going down. I thought I was going down, and I remember saying to myself, no, you've had it. You know, and what he done, my mate had knocked me out, and then he took me put me on the shore.
You could have been died there.
Yeah.
Not by the enemy, but drowned to death, right?
Yeah.
Jeez.
He's had.
See, then, I mean, and there's another time there when, you know, when you're in, you got we had all American CPAC rations, and they, you know, they was all different things in that. And, you know, you'd open it and I'd put it on the side, a tin. And then I came back during the night. I'll eat some of that. But what I didn't know, that a rat or something had been at it.
Rat.
So I got
poisoning.
you know, food poison. And that was another week, I think another good week in hospital again, you know.
There are so many incidents there.
Because, you know, these things come up. Because even when I was on the ship you know, and they operated on my arm and that. And he said to me, he said, you know, he said to me, I'm going to let you go up on deck. He says, go and sit. I went up on deck with a book, and I sat there reading the book for a couple of hours. And I didn't realise I got no shirt and nothing on. And I thought, it's lunchtime. I'll have to go back down. And I got up, and I just collapsed. You know, sunstroke. And so I was going back to the right place.
But now you are the only few actually survive.
Yeah.
Right? So you are very lucky. You were in Korea when the armistice was signed.
Yeah,
Tell me about it.
Because we was in the line that night, and we was told that the ceasefire would be 12 o'clock that night. So, I mean, right up until 12 o'clock, you know, they were still sending shells over and that, you know. And then at 12 o'clock, it just went, boom. Everything went quiet, you know. It was also, gee.
Where were you at the time?
We was actually in the front line.
Front line.
You know. And then we waited till, when the sun came up, and down in the valley before us, there was thousands of Chinese troops in the valley. They had put all tents up, and you know, and playing music and everything.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I did. Because then
so they were celebrating.
Yeah, they were celebrating. And then we had to come off the line, off the hill, down to the bottom, and then we put up that wire. We had to put up we started out that part of it, putting up Danit wire across, and that went on. I mean, you know yourself now that it's all pillar boxes and fortifications of minefields and God knows what there ain't there now.
Wow. So how did you feel?
Oh gee. Oh yeah, we went to the demarcation line.
Yeah.
We went to the demarcation line, didn't we?
Right.
And
when you revisited Korea.
Yeah, when we revisited Korea, there was a hut there. And you went into that hut. The first part of that was South Korea.
Yeah.
The other part of that hut was North Korea. And there was a North Korean cemetery at that end,
yeah.
and an English...
not cemetery.
No, in that hut, you know. At the other end, there was an English soldier there, you know.
Soldier.
And so he stood there, so we walked across that line and they was taking pictures and that of each other. And that.
What were you feeling?
Yeah.
Taking pictures in exactly the line where you were.
Yeah.
How was it?
You know, because it was the North Korean cemetery was there. We stood beside him, you know, to get a photo. He was like a zombie. He was complete. He never moved a muscle. Mm-hmm. You know how he stayed still. I don't know.
That's the communism.
Yeah.
So when did you leave Korea?
We left Korea. We had finished. We was there 13 months. We was in Korea.
Okay.
And then we went to Egypt.
No, at the time.
So it's around August you left, 1953?
We left there August. You know, it was. I know it had run into 13 months. We was actually in Korea. You know.
So, tell me about this.
Because that was 20. You know, I mean, we was there 22, and it was kind of August 20. You know, 23.
Yep.
23, yeah. I'm getting that.
So Walter,
53.
Tell me about what is the whole thing. You told me in the beginning of this interview that you didn't know nothing about Korea.
No.
You didn't know where Korea was.
No.
Now you are one of the
Korean veteran
who praised what Korea is now.
Yeah,
what do you think about? Why do you think it happened to you? Tell me.
you know, I was in a way, I was a lucky man. I was to be sent to Korea, and although I lost a lot of mates and things like that.
Friends.
But that is war, you know.
Why do you say you were lucky to be sent to Korea?
I think, you know, because we had to go somewhere, you know.
But you went to war and you were wounded and you were almost drowned to death.
And nearly froze to death because the winter there in Korea, it dropped down to 20 and 30 below zero.
Celsius.
I reckon in 1950, 52, that was a real bad year in Korea. It was a very cold year, you know. And we had different gear and that. But how we kind of, you know, we lived on a hill for 4 or 5 weeks or 6 weeks in the freezing cold, and that, you know, and how we ever, you know, I don't know, you know, because we used to have to go out and patrol. We went out, especially then it snowed, and we had white suits, and we'd go out into the valley, you know, to try and meet the Chinese, but we could never catch them.
So you were in the farmost front line,
Yeah.
patrolling around the region where they heavily mined,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So your mission was very dangerous.
You know, you wouldn't know when, you know, what, because I mean, the Chinese were very, very clever. I mean, they come up into your minefield, and take your mines up, you know. And Christmas there, they came up and put all stuff, because we used to get, they had a big tannoy system, and they'd play us Christmas carols and all that, you know, to listen to. Why don't you come over to us and into our bunker? We've got lovely women and we've got drink and everything for you. Why do you fight for the imperialists and all that? You know, we had lectures all the time.
What did you think about that?
It used to take it.
Ridiculous.
We didn't take no blink notice of it, you know.
Yeah.
Just laughed at them.
You know.
So, what would you say to Korean people about Korea?
Well, they could be more than proud of themselves for what they've done all that time. And I mean, because from when we was there, we was told, say, in one big block, they had taken, say, a village that was somewhere, and they put them all in that place. So they kind of knew each other, and that again, you know.
The one which is structured.
So, are you proud?
I am proud, yeah.
But they were able to accomplish such a rapid
Yeah.
economic development
Yeah.
and democratization because you fought there and you were wounded.
Yeah. But don't forget Korean soldiers also.
Yes.
Because we started there for a while, because after a while we had Korean soldiers with us, and we was, you know, to teach them how we went on and that, you know. But after about a few weeks, they took them away again, you know.
Taking the food off you.
But see, not the Chinese, the porters, not actually,
Korean porters.
they used to come up and bring up the food,
Yes.
ammunition,
Yeah.
and water, you know, a drop of water to help, you know, and then they would take any wounded or dead out, you know.
So that's how they work together with you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They carried all the logistical
Yeah,
items.
because I mean, you know, they really done their part, you know. I mean, they fought alongside us and everything, you know.
Yeah.
Please introduce yourself. What is your name?
My name is Elizabeth Coote now, but before I was married to my husband, my name was Elizabeth Curry, Curry. I was born in a village here in Dublin called Donnybrook.
Ah,
And
so you were born in Dublin?
I was born in Dublin.
So you were Irish
I am Irish,
and you were British.
Yeah.
British,
Got
of
it.
Irish heritage.
Got it.
Now, I met my husband in London because Ireland was a poor country, very poor, and it was immigration all the time. We had to immigrate to get work. But my father, there were 11 children of us, and my father would not allow us go unless we went to our aunt and uncle. Then we could go. So we did. I went to London and basically I got myself a very good job in the London Savings Bank. Then I got into a beautiful job in an engineering firm, Russell and Russell, into the office there, and at Hammersmith Wharf. Then I met my husband, right? And within the moment I met him, I knew there was something special about him.
What was it?
Yes, I thought to myself, he is a nice person. I like him. Not love, I like him. And he felt the same way. And then we went out together to the cinema and so on and so on. And then after 6 weeks, he wanted to marry me.
Oh,
And
boy.
I said, I couldn't possibly marry you for 6 weeks. My husband, my parents, I said, you're Protestant, I'm Catholic. You have to have special instructions for the Catholic Church. And he said, for what? And I said, because when we get married, we have to have the children brought up as Catholic and all this business. And he said, oh, for God's sake, he said, we could get a special license and go off and get married. Anyway, we went ahead. A long story attached to that, so I won't go into the detail of that. But when I met him, he did not talk to me about anything about his army or being in the army or about career or anything like that. Never said a word, nothing. So we got on very well together. We really loved each other. We had the children. Then the only thing with Walter was that sometimes at night he'd waken up in a dream, like in a nightmare, and he'd sit up and I'd say, what's wrong? And he'd say, oh, I saw all the lads coming towards me. And I'd say, what lads? And he'd say, the boys that I left in Korea, the boys that have died. He said, there was Freddie Rhodes, there was Richard Cooper, there was Brian Tully, there was Mr. Harmon, who we think, we don't know if he's alive or dead, blah, blah. Anyway, I said to him, look, don't worry. So he said, then he started to just tell me a few things about Korea, like that he would jump when he came back from Korea, and he heard a sound, like a car backfiring. Anyway, it wasn't until our grandchildren started to ask him about Korea.
When?
And this was, you can go back about 10 years.
Okay.
So they were at school and they wanted to do projects on Korea, which they did. And they sat like you are sitting now, and they talked to their granddad about Korea. And he opened up and he started to tell them. And he told them everything about Korea, and then they wrote it up. And they, in the school here, in Loretto School in Dublin, right, in Rathfarnham, only up the road there, the teacher put it up on a big screen and had all the students come and listen to Walter talking. And Walter talking about what happened to him in Korea. And she got an A+ for the essay. And the whole school and all the teachers, they said they were just amazed at him. Sorry. Mm-hmm. But the thing was, for years he had been saying to me, I'd love to go back to Korea. I'd love to go back to Korea. And I said to him, well, go with one of the boys, our sons. And he said, no, I want to go with you. And I said, I can't, I couldn't fly, I'm sorry. I couldn't go all that distance. Then one night in 2016, we had got an invitation to go back to Korea. And I actually was sitting watching him one night, and I looked and I said, I'm really being very selfish not to go with him when he wants to go so much. So I got my courage up, told my son to arrange it all without telling his father, and we surprised him and told him, you're going back to Korea in 2016. And I went to the doctors and I said to the doctor, I'm terrified that on the plane, like, that I will run up to the pilot and ask him to turn it back to Dublin. Because I said, I am so nervous. Anyway, he said, okay, I'll give you some tablets. He said, you take one before you go, one when you're getting on the plane, and so on. I never took a single tablet simply because I said to myself, if I have a tablet and the plane goes down, he has nobody.
Do you remember we
So
were side by side?
So I said to myself, oh no. And I did it. And I got there, and I was so happy when I got there. Anyway, we were treated like royalty. The Korean people could not. They're so lovely, so kind. The young boys and girls on the buses, volunteering, helping us, doing everything for us, helping us on, helping us off. But the magic was that when we went to Busan, we went into the cemetery, and Walter and I said to Walter, I said, we haven't got their grave numbers, but remember, they know we're here. So we'll just stand here and you say a prayer and I'll say a prayer. And we decided that we would pray hard for them and tell them that, you know, their loss of their lives was not in vain, that Korea was a wonderful place now, and that the people who had been so poor and so kept down so much that all they wanted to do was be like the Irish people here, of like farming their land and having enough of food. They weren't looking for anything more, and now here they were fighting and being killed. And to me it was awful. But anyway, we were at the back and we were praying. And the next thing, Walter went ahead, as he said, and I was walking and I found them. And I could not believe it. And I was standing, I said, come back, Walter, come back. And he said, what? I said, here they are, look. And then the paratrooper came across and he said, you're very upset, are you okay? And I said, yeah, fine. And he said, I told him what I've just told you, that we didn't know we were going to find them. And he said to Walter and myself, no, you never found them. They were waiting. They were waiting to say goodbye. So I felt so good. That was, to me, that was the highlight of the trip, was the fact that I had gone back to Korea, that I had seen where my husband had fought alongside the fellow colleagues, soldiers, young soldiers of 17, 18, 19-year-olds, and that basically here was a wonderful country now with so much they had, and they're sharing. They're now rich, but they're sharing with other countries. They're helping other people. So that is the way the world should be, to help other people. Because Ireland was poor, England was poor. You might have thought, oh, rich country in England. No, there was poverty in England, there was poverty in Ireland, there was poverty in Korea. And then the greed of people at the top, politicians, etc., they then caused the wars. I would say to the young Korean children that are going to watch this video, I would say to the young Korean children that are coming, that are young now and they will be adults soon, I would say to them, never forget your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. Never forget that it was their sacrifice that gave you what you've got today. and that they should always remember that. And that is the most important thing of all, family and tradition and the way in which you treat people. And I would say to the leaders of any country, whether it be America, whether it be Ireland, England, it doesn't matter to me, I would say to them, sit around a table, talk, sort your problems out, but don't send young people and civilians to be killed and maimed and destroyed, and their homes destroyed, their livelihoods destroyed, everything. I would say to the young people that they must remember that is more important, not to have wars.
Thank you for your prayer. I see that as a prayer.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say?
No, sorry, thank you very much. I thank you for coming today, you know, because, as you say, this has got to go down in history, because I've got a book in that thing there. I'm in that book of my story when I was in Korea with two professors in Ireland. They done exactly what you're doing today. They put me on, and they wrote the book, and there's 20 Korean veterans in that book, and my story is in there,
Excellent. Excellent.
But I'm really glad, for you, because you're a good man. I can see that, you're very. And as I say, she says, we love Korea. We do,